Alberta's alert enforcement team says it has made one of the biggest drug busts in provincial history. A cross-border case they call Project Cerberus. It targeted cocaine.
Can you even imagine this? The luxurious villa in North Miami belonging to two Somali-origin judges, symbols of justice revered by their community, turned out to be the nerve center of a massive drug trafficking ring and a brutal human trafficking operation where 60 innocent children were held captive in the basement. When the FBI burst through the doors at dawn, the horrifying truth was laid bare. Today, I'm telling the full shocking story from the sound of gunfire to the empire crumbling in a single night. If this gives you chills like right now, share it with your friends. Drop your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe to the channel with notifications on so you don't miss the next real case. In a secluded area of North Miami, the massive villa sits hidden at the end of a dead-end street surrounded by towering high fences and dense rows of tropical palm trees. From the outside, it exudes luxury and power, serving as the residence of the well-known couple Judge Amina Hassan and her husband, Judge Ahmed Ali. Both hail from the Somali immigrant community and have risen to the highest ranks in the Miami-Dade judicial system. They are revered as symbols of the American dream, champions of justice for minority communities. But behind that perfect facade lay a dark criminal network that had operated for 6 long years. Federal agencies had been quietly surveilling the house for a long time, gathering evidence of a shadow government running right from the heart of the judicial power center. Hundreds of cases involving Somali gangs were suspiciously dismissed in the courtroom presided over by the two judges. Dangerous drug traffickers were released just a few hours after their arrest, as if they stood above the law. Investigators discovered that the villa wasn't just a residence, but a sophisticated command center. From there, protection orders were issued and cases were manipulated to conceal a massive drug supply chain. Heroin and fentanyl were shipped from Djibouti and Moscow through the ports of Miami without any hindrance. In return, the gangs provided the couple with abundant cash, armed security forces, and unwavering loyalty. The criminal model was built to perfection. The judges provided legal immunity while the gangs ensured an endless flow of product. The villa was equipped with military-grade sensors, rotating armed guards, and secret cargo trucks rolling in under the cover of night. Local police were either bought off or too terrified to intervene. Only the FBI and ICE had the capability to build this massive case after years of persistent surveillance. After 6 long years of gathering irrefutable evidence, the final raid warrant was approved. At the crack of dawn, while the city still slept, more than 20 federal SWAT vehicles silently surrounded the area. There was no warning, no chance to surrender. The lead armored truck smashed straight through the sturdy iron gate, tearing it apart with a horrifying screech of metal. The villa immediately fought back. Automatic gunfire erupted from the second-floor balcony, muzzle flashes sparking in the darkness. The shots were precise and disciplined, aimed directly at the armored plating of the SWAT vehicles. This wasn't the wild spray of street criminals, but highly trained resistance, likely from former African soldiers hired as mercenaries. The FBI agents returned fire, immediately advancing with mobile ballistic shields and state-of-the-art suppression weapons. The firefight raged on for nearly 10 tense minutes, with smoke and flames engulfing the entire front yard area. SWAT teams advanced step by step, deploying flashbang grenades to clear out the sniper positions. Bullets slammed into the white stone walls, leaving countless marks. Finally, the gunfire fell silent as the armed guards were completely subdued. More than 10 of them lay motionless on the neatly manicured lawn, zip-tied tightly with plastic restraints. The villa had now become a true battlefield scene. Agents cautiously advanced inside, clearing each room one by one with weapons at the ready. They knew the primary targets were still hiding somewhere within, and the discoveries ahead would change everything. The air hung heavy thick with the acrid smell of gunpowder, mixed with a strange chemical odor wafting up from deep inside this luxurious home. While searching the main library, a seasoned agent noticed something off. A rare mahogany bookshelf wasn't flush against the wall, leaving a small, barely perceptible gap. After scanning it with a thermal imaging device, they confirmed a large void behind it. The hidden mechanism was carefully activated, and the bookshelf slowly swung open like a secret door, revealing a concrete staircase descending deep into the basement below. Do you support this fight to dismantle these cartels? If yes, comment 2. If not, comment 5. A bone-chilling cold rushed up along with the overpowering stench of harsh chemicals mixed with the unwashed odor of human bodies. The agents descended step by step down the metal staircase, flashlights sweeping every corner. The first room that came into view was a massive storage warehouse lined with towering steel shelves. Tons of heroin and fentanyl, vacuum-sealed and stacked high enough to kill millions of lives, served as the primary supply source for the entire East Coast. Beside the drugs was a military-grade weapons cache, assault rifles, suppressors, night vision gear, and thousands of rounds of ammunition. Everything was organized with professional precision, just like a real military base. The agents pressed deeper inside hearts, pounding with the gut feeling that something truly horrifying was about to be uncovered. They knew this wasn't just an ordinary stash house, but the logistical nerve center of a full-blown criminal empire. The second room was the most advanced counterfeit document production workshop they had ever encountered. Specialized printers, high-quality hologram films, and thousands of blank passports were neatly arranged on the shelves. The two judges weren't just shielding criminals, they were manufacturing entirely new identities for them, allowing the operatives to blend seamlessly into American society without any trace of their past. This was precisely how they built their loyal army. The final door was made of heavy steel, securely locked from the outside with a sturdy mechanical bolt. From within came faint sounds, not of fighting, but the terrified shuffling and whimpering of many people. The agents used a cutting torch to slice through the lock sparks, flying wildly in the cold air. When the door finally swung open, their flashlights swept across the stark, empty-feeling concrete room. "60 children huddled together on the freezing cold concrete floor. Ranging in age from 4 years old to teenagers, they were all painfully thin, barefoot, and eerily silent. They didn't cry out or try to run, they simply stared blankly into the flashlight beams with hollow, empty eyes. These were the victims of a ruthless human trafficking ring, masterminded by the very judges who had once presided over family court cases. The devastating truth left even the most hardened agents frozen in stunned silence. Emergency medical teams were rushed down to the basement. The children were wrapped in warm blankets, carried up to the surface, and given immediate medical care. Some suffered from severe malnutrition, while others bore visible signs of abuse. The haunting image of a long line of stretchers carrying the children out of the villa became the most unforgettable scene of the entire operation. Meanwhile, other teams continued sweeping the upper floors in search of the primary targets. The two judges had barricaded themselves in the most private wing of the house. Tension skyrocketed as agents advanced up the expansive marble staircase. The lower level was a living hell on earth, while the upper floors remained a lavish palace built on the blood and tears of countless victims. Judge Ahmed Ali was the first to be found discovered in his private study. He was still wearing his intricately embroidered judicial robe, standing behind an exquisite wooden desk with his open laptop in front of him. The screen displayed a series of encrypted transactions and financial ledgers that he was frantically attempting to permanently delete. When the agents burst in, he calmly raised his hands in surrender without any resistance. The once commanding voice that had echoed through hundreds of courtrooms now trembled. "You're making a huge mistake. I was only serving my community." But the excuses held no weight anymore. He was shoved hard against the wall, handcuffed and stripped of his judicial robe on the spot. The once powerful man now stood exposed, his face etched with raw fear and utter helplessness. At the far end of the hallway, the situation with Judge Amina Hassan was far more complicated. She had barricaded herself inside a fortified safe room concealed behind the master bedroom closet. From within came the frantic sound of papers being torn, the click of a lighter, and the smashing of hard drives. She had no intention of surrendering. Instead, she was desperately trying to destroy every last piece of evidence. The agents deployed a specialized hydraulic door breaching ram. The heavy steel door gradually buckled and warped before collapsing inward with a deafening crash. Thick smoke billowed out from a metal trash can, engulfed in flames, stuffed full of burning classified documents. Judge Hassan was subdued amid the pile of ashes, still screaming that she was the only one keeping order in the community. But the room itself betrayed her completely. On the desk sat a satellite phone connected directly to trafficking contacts in Africa and the Gulf region. Pinned across the wall was a large corkboard covered with photographs of the very children held captive in the basement below each one, marked with its market value like pieces of merchandise. She wasn't protecting anyone, she was running a cold-blooded business in human lives. As the two judges were led down the main staircase with their hands tightly cuffed behind their backs, they were forced to pass right by the basement area that was still being cleared out. They caught sight of the children being carried out on stretchers, the kids' eyes blinking for the first time in sunlight after months, perhaps years of captivity in the dark. For the first time, the masterminds came face to face with their own victims. No longer from the lofty perch of the judge's bench, but standing there as the common criminals they truly were. That moment marked the total collapse of the empire they had built over 6 long years. Data recovered from Judge Ahmed Ali's laptop in those final frantic seconds revealed a far larger network than anyone had imagined. Dozens of other locations scattered throughout Miami, from safe houses to storage warehouses, were all operating under the legal shield they provided. There was no time to wait. The order for a full-scale takedown was issued immediately. The operation codenamed Clean Wave launched on an unprecedented scale in Florida history. SWAT teams struck simultaneously across Little Mogadishu and surrounding neighborhoods. At houses once considered untouchable due to dismissal orders from the courts, doors were now smashed open with virtually no significant resistance. Their legal shield had completely evaporated. Near Miami International Airport, a warehouse disguised as a seafood import company was thoroughly raided. Inside, instead of frozen fish, investigators uncovered meticulously detailed shipping ledgers that perfectly matched the data recovered from the villa. The records proved that the drug flow from Mogadishu through Mexico and into Miami was organized with the precision of a multinational corporation. At the port of Miami, chaos erupted as containers ready for export were suddenly halted. Several major traffickers desperately tried to bribe port officials with stacks of cash and gold bars, loudly dropping Judge Hassan's name as their final trump card. But now that name only drew scornful laughter. They were arrested right on the docks, forced to watch their entire system crumble before their eyes. By midday, the statistics left the entire Department of Justice stunned. 427 individuals were in custody, ranging from low-level operatives to high-ranking gang lieutenants, human traffickers, and port officials who had been receiving regular bribes. More than 1.5 tons of narcotics were seized, along with tens of millions of dollars in cash, military-grade weapons, and stacks of counterfeit documents. The sprawling criminal network that had strangled the community for years collapsed in less than 10 hours. As the sun climbed high over North Miami, the once grand villa was no longer a symbol of power, but the site of a historic crime scene. Bullet holes riddled the white walls, the manicured lawn was littered with evidence markers, and a long line of ambulances carried the 60 rescued children to nearby hospitals, creating a stark, brutal contrast that laid bare the full horror of what had been hidden behind the luxury. News of the raid spread like wildfire across social media and television broadcasts. Images of the underground basement and the rescued children flooded every platform. The public reacted with fury, with crowds gathering outside the federal courthouse in Miami. At first, there was stunned silence, then thunderous applause erupted as the convoy carrying the two judges pulled into view. For the Somali community in Miami, this was a profoundly painful yet liberating moment tangled in complex emotions. They had once viewed Amina Hassan and Ahmed Ali as national heroes, people who rose from nothing and fiercely protected the rights of their community. The deep betrayal inflicted massive wounds, but at the same time it shattered the suffocating layer of fear that had gripped the neighborhood for years. Many residents spoke out publicly in front of television cameras for the very first time. They shared stories of mysterious disappearances that were never investigated, the crushing pressure to stay silent under the protection of the gangs, and how their trust had been completely exploited. Now, with the shield of protection gone, the truth poured out freely. Little Mogadishu finally began to breathe a sigh of relief after years of suffocating fear. The operation didn't end with the arrests. The Federal Department of Justice ordered an emergency audit of more than 600 cases previously handled by the two judges. Thousands of rulings would be re-examined, with many sentences likely to be overturned, and numerous previously dismissed cases potentially reopened for investigation. The process was expected to take years, but it was regarded as a crucial step toward restoring public trust in the justice system. Deportation flights took off one after another, carrying hundreds of undocumented individuals who had once been shielded from consequences and now faced full legal accountability. The Somali neighborhood grew noticeably quieter, with shadowy nighttime activities vanishing entirely as the community slowly began to stabilize and heal. The two former judges now await prosecution on a slew of serious charges, while outside the courthouse people lit candles in silent vigil, quietly expressing hope that justice had finally spoken. The aftermath of the raid will have lasting repercussions, not just for Miami, but for how the public perceives the integrity of the entire judicial system. The incident left deep wounds that will take time to heal, yet the truth has finally been brought into the light. The 60 rescued children are now receiving comprehensive psychological and medical support, gradually finding stability and beginning to rebuild their lives. The most unforgettable image isn't the sheer scale of the seized evidence or the monetary value of what was confiscated, but the moment those children first experienced genuine safety and real care. The operation sent a crystal clear message that no position stands above the law. The two judges who once believed they were beyond any limits now face the very system they had abused for years. A shadowy network built over many years collapsed in a single night of decisive action. Those who carried out the mission weren't seeking personal glory, they acted to safeguard the rule of law and protect the community. Operation Clean Wave firmly reaffirmed that true power lies in accountability and transparency. Justice doesn't come for free, it has to be fought for with courage and unwavering determination. That night while Miami slept, justice delivered a resounding victory. The story of this shadowy empire's collapse will be retold for years to come, serving as a powerful reminder that no matter how thick the darkness grows, the light of the law can still pierce through and bring new hope. Could there be other shadow governments still hiding within the system? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll read and reply to every single one. If this video made you reflect, smash that like button, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the next shocking true crime case. See you soon.